Okay, everybody. So, hello, everybody. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for viewing this. And this is my Undertaker, The Last Ride series. Well, episode. I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, yeah, it's my The Last Ride, episode 5 review. Now, there was a lot in this episode. It was about 1 hour 20 minutes long, I think it was, or an hour or four. Yeah, about 1 hour 20 minutes long, I think it was, in total. But it was a good episode, and it's definitely worth watching. If you've not seen any of the other episodes, then I suggest you definitely watch this. For anybody who is a fan of The Undertaker or professional wrestling, or just in general, there's a lot to take from this. It's not just for wrestling fans. It's for anyone who is actually a fan of someone trying to make it, and who's made it, and who's basically transitioning from one part of their life into another part of their life, and it's good. It's good to watch. But if you don't watch any of the other 4 episodes and you just want to see one, just watch this one, because this one just says it all, and you probably want to watch the others after that. So let's get straight into it. So the first things first, right? This is a spoiler-filled review, so I'm going to be talking about practically everything in the actual episode. Second thing is, uh, yeah, that's the most important thing. So the next thing is, let's get on with it. Yeah. Okay, so the first question, what everybody wants to know at the end, and this is the money question: is the Undertaker retiring? Is the urn the power of the urn? Is it? Is it going? Is it going? And is it dead? Well, the answer to that is simply maybe. Yeah, maybe. Because quite frankly, he's left it open, and yeah, he said maybe. That was the main part. He's left it open. He's talked about it in the Sam Roberts podcast as well, about that. You know what? He may come back. So personally, I think if the opportunity presents itself, and if he's got nothing better to do at home with all his COVID-19, and he just gets a bit bored, he probably might come back. And if he feels up for it, and he feels like he can do a match, he'll work and he'll do it. And c'est la vie. Okay, so that's good for him. But in general, now I think it's over. His main priority of wrestling, being a wrestler, is over. So let's start off. Okay, now this actual episode first started off with the Extreme Rules part from the previous episode. I think this was in 2019. Yeah, 2019 in Extreme Rules. He had this segment where he was fighting with him and Roman Reigns were fighting against Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre, who was a bad guy at the time. So, and he finished on a high because he tombstone Drew McIntyre, and I'm not sure what he did to Shane, but he finished on a high. The crowd was roaring, and then basically got on to the part of this is a revelation in itself, because he felt as though that this particular time he's felt that this is the perfect moment, and after this it can't get better than this. This was the perfect moment of his career, and is got to end. And he can't continue to. The thing is it's a cross between him tarnishing his legacy, as well as the desire to perform in front of millions of people. Now he can perform, but the thing is, at what what extent, and will it be worth it? So at that particular point in the Extreme Rules, he realized, this is a perfect moment. He can, sit on the side and not feel as though he has to be a part of the actual action. So that was the first time that was a revelation for him. Triple H then went on about Yang Dong and, him not being done as such as a human being. You need to retire on top and have a perfect moment. But he thought to himself, what? He's thought about it, and this seems like a perfect time to retire as such. And then the thing is, then 2 months went by. He went to Madison Square Garden near. He went to Madison Square Garden, and he was reflecting basically. He was reflecting on the Goldberg match. And not only that, Madison Square Garden as well. And he was thinking basically to himself, this is a perfect moment, maybe to end his career. Because quite frankly, he was like apparently he thought about himself. Like he was saying, when he fought, what's his name, Goldberg, or performed against Goldberg, there was a point where he basically got almost dropped on his head. He really kind of did get dropped on his head. It was more of a brainbuster as opposed to a jackhammer. And if he actually landed straight spike on the actual in the ring, then it would have been over his career. So he was thinking to himself. What he was saying is basically in the past, when he was younger, he wouldn't have thought this. Thought, what, I could continue and all this, but then it it was just 2 inches away from him ending his career, being crippled, or even dying as such, and leaving his family without a father, etc. So in general, he was thinking to himself, he's okay if he's not a performer anymore. He's okay. He's not the center of attention all the time, which is fine. Which is good. At that particular time, he felt as though he can't keep putting the effort in, and if this is actually going to be what's more important in life as such, that's what I mean to say. So then after that, he went, and obviously he went to the Broken Skulls podcast with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then he even said on that particular occasion that he may even continue, he's thinking in terms of his career, he's going to have a say on when it's over. He's not. It doesn't matter about anybody else or whatever anybody else says. It's about him and what he wants. So he was saying basically maybe 1 or 2 matches more. You know what I mean? One match or maybe not. So he kind of like alluded to that. He could probably have another WrestleMania match. Now AJ Styles, being the opportunist that he is, he went and to Vince McMahon and then asked him to basically talk to the Taker and ask him. So they had a good conversation about it, and then Taker was saying, what, man, if this was like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, this would have been perfect. I would have loved to perform with you. It would have been awesome. His athleticism would be off the chart, and they would be able to have a great match because he does have great matches with guys like Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, even Rey Mysterio. He's had some great matches. Seriously, Taker has. I'm not just saying it because he definitely has. You know, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, then he went and spoke to AJ Styles. Were like, you know, come on, if you just think about it, you know what I mean, and you have a think about it and see what you can, you know, if you want to do something, this will be a good opportunity for you to do this one song as such, end his career. And you know, it's a good opportunity and it's a perfect time. So yeah, he said I'll think about it, and then he went to the performance center after that. He was there training the young guys, hanging around with them, the young guys, the young big guys, and he was like teaching him everything that he knows. You and you know there was a part where even Randy Orton came on and he was saying that you know the great thing about Taker was when he first came into the business he was working really hard for Randy, like basically do getting hip tossed, getting thrown over the head, going over the ropes for him, and Vince said, "What are you doing?" to Taker, and Taker said, "You know, what do you think I'm trying? I'm trying to help him to grow. You know what I mean? I'm trying to help him put him over. So you know what I mean? So it was good. It's good to you know it's good to see he is like a ring general and he's a good guided person, and that particular role I think for his career would be perfect for him now towards the end of his career. I think him helping younger guys, and the fact that he helped so many people grow, even Brett grew, Shawn Michaels, everybody, a lot of them, Mankind, come on, his career bloomed because of him. So overall, Taker's consummate professional, without a doubt. Now, he was basically hung around with the kids, the younger guys, seeing if he can, he was moving the ropes, see if he can move with them, seeing if it's appropriate for him to continue. So, but he always had that self doubt in his back of his head, whether he can do it or not. So he has to, work harder at it. And then there was the infamous moment at that particular point where he is talking and saying that, okay, so they, they always just when I think I'm out, they drag me back in. So after that, he went to Riyadh and then was training because he decided he's going to do something with AJ. He's going to do the WrestleMania with AJ. So he went to Riyadh. He's there and basically cost AJ the cup, the Saudi Arabian Cup at that particular time. The thing was as well, when he was training, you should see it. He was actually, it was, it was, it's quite apparent that his time is coming to an end, and that's just speaking on a objective level, because he was saying himself, he has to train 10 times harder for 2% of the 2% of the results. For a small amount of results, he has to work 10 times harder. Now, after that, once he chokeslammed, AJ in that match and cost him the Saudi Cup. Can't remember what it was, whatever the title was. It was a cup, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a cup. After that, then on Raw, AJ cut this promo and basically made it very, very personal, and that was really, really cool because AJ wanted it to be brilliant. You know what I mean? He wanted it to move it to the next level, so he cut the promo, and you could even see that Michelle McCool, his wife, Undertaker's wife was angry at him as well, like, "Whoa, this is a bit too harsh, isn't it? You don't know what you're doing," as such. And Undertaker himself said, I guess everybody wants me to, punch his face 6 inches more into his back of his head," which is a good, crazy line, but and a weird visual for sure. So at that point, then basically because he cut that promo, he realized, you know what, it can't be the old school Taker where he's, the urn, the power of the urn, or the Trinity dark side of the, whatever Undertaker it was. So he basically said, you know what, he's gonna have to be a bit of all three of the characters. So he had to merge all three of the characters into one, and I think that was the actual cool thing about this. It just the Undertaker that we saw in WrestleMania 36 was the amalgamation of all three or however many Undertakers that we have, and we have that on WrestleMania 36. Now, at that particular point, we had the outbreak of the COVID-19 with no audience, so he was thinking, oh man, this is crazy, this is not going to be good, etc. It's not going to be fun as such, and what are they going to do? And Triple H himself said, I'm not sure what to do. But all that he got was from the people in the back was that it was a boneyard match, and he went, what the hell? What he himself said, Triple H himself said, what the hell is a boneyard match? And so he had to figure something out, and then they had a 1 acre plot residential neighborhood, I think in Orlando, Florida somewhere, and then they had a barn, and then they basically decided to do something over there, and it was crazy because it was like Michael Hayes himself was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how we're gonna do this. This is crazy." So apparently, at that particular time, they had to make chicken poop into chicken salad. That was the key, and so they asked Vince McMahon's approval and said, "We're gonna cut it. We're gonna do a video. We're gonna do it cinematic, do it, etc. like that." And overall, it was the best thing that they could have done. That's what they said themselves, and I agree. To be honest with you, it was the best thing that they could have done. Now, at that particular point, unfortunately, he had a call from his niece, and apparently the niece's father died. So his brother, he died from a heart attack. Tim Calloway, from Boston. And the unfortunate thing was he couldn't go to Boston to check on him. I wasn't able to go because obviously, COVID-19 at that time, and it was very difficult for him to continue with the match, especially with, the fact that, you're having a boneyard match with a grave, with a grave and a coffin. That doesn't help, does it, really, unfortunately? So they had the show. I'm surprised it carried on. It must have been so difficult. But they basically carried on with the actual show. Now, I love this. I mean, I love the trash talking between AJ and, what's his name, AJ Styles, because they're like, hey, I buried the spot. Hey, I buried the spot over. Put you just right over there. And like the take was like, man, you buried your own grave. And then at one point in the actual, that was a thing. In the actual video, they showed him, smacking the window, and he's on the glass breaking. And I thought that was actually a bit of CGI or something like that, or some fake blood that they would have put on. But apparently, he actually smashed through the glass, and it was his arm was bleeding. At that particular point, they had to clean it up, take the glass out of his arm to stop any infection, etc. Then by then, obviously, adrenaline came down, and then he was feeling the pain. But then that was the thing with this; it was like a cinematic, performance, where it's like 90% of the time they had to, improvise and see what was going on, and then they had to perform on camera. Bang! Go, go, go! And it was like that. So it was a good cinematic, feel to it. Um, I mean, Taker loved it himself, the motorbike itself. I thought that was a cool part as well. He agreed that bringing the part of the American badass back. Well, to be honest, go and watch that match if it's on the WWE Network or on YouTube. Check it out. It's a really good one. You really have to check that out. It's really, really good. Definitely fun to watch. And then he wasn't sure how everybody was gonna how it was gonna go down. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know how it was gonna go down. I thought, now there's two ways it could go. They could either botch it or they can make it great, and they made it literally great. I think everybody's so invested in the Undertaker character, and they know what Undertaker is, so it was just so perfect on it. It was just so perfect that it was just perfect. It really was. And the great thing about him is what he said at the end. He was talking about, like wrestling as a whole. He was saying himself, the great thing of, he's a great storyteller. And I think that's one of the great keys about him and the wrestling, in his wrestling as well. He tells a great story from A to Z. Like, even the story with him and AJ Styles, how they hated each other as such, it was just cool. And that his stories made it great. I have to say that is cool. Now, after that, it was over. 2 months later, down the road, he's there chilling at home, somewhere in a farmhouse, as such. Maybe it's the same barn. Oh, maybe it's the same barn that he actually had the actual match in. I doubt it, because it had a bit of a river. It had a river, so he was fishing over there, relaxed, chilled out with his wife, enjoying, having a great time, and he's kind of realized he's happy. He's happy, and the most main important things, I think, from his perspective, was you got to be present in the moment. That was one thing that I learned from this. You got to be present in the moment, because this time won't come again. And he talked about like Kobe Bryant dying shortly before the actual match, and obviously his wife's brother, I think it is, or cousin. I'm not so sure. I didn't quite get it. Brett McCool. He died as well. So it was like a pretty grim time for them, I have to say, for the Undertaker family. So I hope them all success. But they do seem happy, him and his family, and I think that is the way to go. They seem in peace. His wife talked about his legacy is basically, it was done a while back, and to be honest, it was done a while back. But with this AJ Styles match, that was a perfect finish, a perfect ending. And then he talked about his family, the family on the road, Yokozuna, Brett, all the other wrestlers, etc. And then he talked about his normal family. He's like got two big families, and that's the most important thing for him. And like I said, he said, "Would I come back? Maybe." But I think he put the full stop. He had nothing to accomplish. There was no desire to continue. I think there's got to be a desire for him to move forward. And I don't, to be honest, I don't. He's done the AJ Styles match. The only thing he can do only thing he can do is go to WrestleMania, fight AJ again. But what if he what if he lose? I don't see the point of him now. I know last time I said if he goes and has a match with him, then he can actually lose the match and it could actually be over. And even if he loses, his career can be over, and that would be a perfect ending for him because AJ could cheat and win, and that's how I was saying it would be perfect way for him to go out. But I think no. If he has no desire, don't bother coming back because you've that was the icing on the cake. Now everybody's doing in Raw, in SmackDown. They're using that cinematic, approach on practically everything. And now, unfortunately, is overkill, and I think they shouldn't do that anymore. Um, now, and that was it really. So he's okay with being himself, and then they just showed a nice little montage of his old bike coming in on the bike, etc. And they had this country song at the end, saying that he's not 25 as such, and his heart is young, but his time is up. And that was a good ending. It was a good ending. I mean, there's a few things to take from this. I think the thing is like no win. I think, to be honest, it's a good documentary. I think for a wrestling documentary, it's a great one. You can definitely watch it because, quite frankly, you'll learn a lot from it, even about your own life in terms of like, you need to know when you need to step away, and you've got to find that spot of where to say enough is enough. You know what I mean? I think the point where he was like, he was 2 inches away that he could have been dead. I think that was the omelette that basically he had to eat. So, I mean, overall, it was a great one. It was a great episode. I definitely recommend anybody to watch it, without a doubt. And if you're not interested in watching it all, if you're not a wrestling fan, just watch this episode. You'll get the whole gist of everything because it talks. I mean, you will kind of get it, but if you're not, it doesn't matter. Still, it's a great episode. But yeah, like I said, the main thing is be present in life. That's what I took from this. You got to think what's most important in life. Obviously, like he had to be. He knew when he. Oh yeah, that was another point of the actual show I really liked when he was talking about his dad. And his dad making fun of him for wearing makeup, and it was like a quite funny moment. And it was like he misses his dad, and then he was like, then he got to a point where he was saying, you know what, now I've got to be a good dad, and I've got to, you know, he's got to focus on the family as such. So priorities change. So you got to know when to say no, and I think that was the thing with this situation. So overall, I enjoyed it, and it's definitely worth a watch, especially for the clips of the AJ Styles match as well. If you're not gonna watch that, just watch this episode for sure. Okay, that's it from me. Peace out, everybody. Peace.